I believe it was the French philosopher Jacques Derrida who said that hospitality is far more than welcoming old friends to our home. He said hospitality has become a harmless quality in the order of civility, politeness, and good table manners. If we manage across some period of time not to be rude to our friends within our own house, then we are deemed hospitable. We forget that properly hospitality has to do with unrecognizable strangers rather than kith and kin. Ancient hospitality is firstly and primarily a bond between utter strangers. The biblical vision of strangers assures us that if you and I will receive strangers, they will enlarge and bless our lives rather than take from us and diminish us. Abraham didn't see these three strangers coming, and only later realized that the strangers brought the presence of the Lord. You know, divine events tend to be surprising. A baby born in Bethlehem in a manger, an empty tomb, Pentecost, surprises. But in receiving those strangers, Abraham's life, Sarah's life, and the life of the world were immeasurably enriched. What a surprise, as Frederick Buechner reminded us. Here's Sarah with one foot in the grave and all of a sudden the other in the maternity ward. The truth is, strangers by definition upset the status quo, don't they? You know, it's one thing to express our love for God as we gather here, but that does not easily translate into love for the stranger, into concrete acts of love. For instance, the doorbell rings late at night. Who could it be? Who could it be? We're not expecting anyone. Who in the world could be ringing the doorbell at this hour? And we peep through the hole and we see a car that we don't recognize. Do we open the door or not? It's a dilemma, isn't it? But even though we fear the stranger can be a spiritual guide to us. Truth is, God wants to use strangers in our lives to shake us up, as Henri Nouwen reminds us that we are to it enables us to create a free space where stranger can come in, can enter, and become friend rather than enemy. And then our fear and hostility of strangers will be converted into hospitality. And strangers become guests and bring new life to us. Abraham and Sarah, in old age, had become accustomed to barrenness. They were consigned and resigned, they thought, to a closed future. They had accepted their barrenness as normal. And when the gospel in these three strangers come to them, it is not met with receptive hopefulness, but resistant helplessness. When Sarah hears the news, she laughs and laughs and laughs. But the stranger brings word that God keeps God's promises. Abraham and Sarah, God is going to keep the promise God made to you, and you will have a son. You know, the truth is we're all strangers, all in need of hospitality, in need of welcome. Where do your eyes need to be opened? Where does your heart need to be softened? Where do your arms need to be opened wide to the stranger? The two verses that Deb read in Hebrews remind us that some have entertained angels without even knowing it, and received God's promise that offers life and a future where there was nothing but death and hopelessness. Fred Craddock went up to the University of Winnipeg in Canada to give some lectures. How should I dress? It's the middle of October, he said. His guest said, "Oh, it's a little early for bad weather. Just bring a windbreaker." The first lecture Friday night. Afterwards, it was spitting snow a little bit, and the host said, "Oh, don't worry. It won't amount to anything." The next morning, Fred woke up and tried to look out the window, but the drifts had covered the window. His host called, "I can't get out. The lectures are canceled. I can't even get out to take you to breakfast. But if you'll go out the door of the hotel, make a right, go to the corner, and make another right about halfway down the street, there's a little cafe in the bus stop. Perhaps they're open." So Fred put on his windbreaker and headed out the door. He found the place. It was packed out with every stranded traveler. Somebody scooted over. Fred sat down. A man in a greasy apron came and said, "What do you want?" "Well, I'd like to see a menu." "What do you want a menu for?" "We've got soup." "Fine, I'll have soup. I always have soup for breakfast." He brought the soup. It was gray, about the color of a mouse. It was hot. He took a spoon. It was awful. He couldn't identify, but he used the bowl to warm his hands. All of a sudden, the door opened. "Shut the door." She did. She had nothing on but a coat, light coat, nothing on her head. Someone scooted over. The man with the greasy apron came over and said, "What do you have?" She said, "A glass of water." He brought the water over and said, "What do you want?" "Nothing. Just the water." "Order something." "No, I'll just have the water." "Lady, you got to order something." Could I just stay in here and warm up a little?" "Lady, order something or get out. We have paying customers here. Order now or leave." So she got up. And almost as if rehearsed, everybody in that little cafe stood up, started to walk out. Craddock said, I got up and said to myself, I'm voting for something here. I'm not sure what it is. Okay, said the man with the greasy apron. And he brought her a bowl of soup. Who is she? Craddock asked the man who had scooted over so he could have a place to sit. Never saw her before in my life, but if she ain't welcome, ain't nobody welcome. Then all you could hear was the slurping of the soup. Craddock said, well, if they can eat it, I can eat it. So he took the spoon and started again on the soup. And you know, it was pretty good soup. Kind of liked it. He ate the whole bowl. Never tasted anything like it. At least he didn't think so. You just never know when a stranger will change the whole situation, and awful becomes good. But as he started out the door, he remembered. He remembered what it tasted like. Yes, he did. He remembered. It tasted just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like bread and wine. Yes, that's what it was. Bread and wine.